Without further delay, I'd like to officially welcome you to the webinar, Unlocking Success, BigAtom's Ultimate Guide to Festive Growth. As you know, today we'll be focusing on expert tips to supercharge your festive campaigns with BigAtom's innovative tools, especially for those planning Diwali or festive sales. So stay tuned for the live Q&A session at the end and get a chance to win a free feed audit. So first up, we have Manasvi Neol, Senior Manager BI and Innovation at Adyogi. Manasvi has been instrumental in crafting innovative solutions that help brands like yours optimize for growth. Also joining us is Pranab Mohan, Assistant Manager from the product team at Big Atom. Pranab has deep insights into how Big Atom's product features like product sets and stop loss automation can help elevate your campaigns and ensure you maximize ROI. Now, moving swiftly to today's agenda, we'll cover how to be festive ready and why feed optimization is crucial for this season. Now, I would like to welcome Manasvi to take us through the first part of today's session.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Harleen. Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a great day so far, and I find you in peak festive spirit. I don't know about you, but festive season has been keeping us quite busy given that everybody wants to scale up right now and, of course, with the right strategy. So, I think the first question for us is why should we optimize our feed during the festive season? I'm sure you've been hearing about feed optimization, especially AI-led feed optimization, quite a bit in the past. To just tell you a little bit about it, nowadays the queries that people search for are not very generic anymore. Gone are the days when people would search for buy kurta online or buy shirts online. People are getting more and more specific. So if I want a kurta, I'm going to tell you that I want an ethnic kurta, green in color. I want it for Diwali or for Mehndi or a wedding festival, etc. And we're seeing a huge increase in queries like that, especially on Google search, which is why we've discovered that if your product titles contain the right kind of relevant keywords, especially what your product already has, it can definitely help you increase visibility when it comes to final output. Just to give you an example, normally brands will have some fancy names for products that they have. For example, let's say that there's a maroon kurta out here on the Google search query. It's possible that they're calling this maroon kurta like a Noor kurta or a some fancy name for it. But of course, when I'm searching for a maroon kurta that I need for Karwa Chauth, let's say, I'm going to say that I need a maroon kurta set, which is in cotton fabric, full sleeves with dupatta, all of that stuff. So what we do is using AI, we help you optimize that title of the product from that plain old Noor kurta to maroon cotton kurta along with whatever relevant details are required. This helps us make sure that when somebody who with high intent is searching for such a product, they end up seeing an ad from our brand and eventually click and convert. So that's the whole objective of sort of optimizing your feed for the festive season. Now, festive season, one more trend that we've recently seen is people also sometimes search for the occasion that they're looking for the product. Like in this case here, women's ethnic kurta for Diwali. Other than Diwali, we've also seen a lot of queries for, kurta set for haldi or mehendi or bridesmaid or bridal groom outfit. Things like that are also quite relevant, especially now that festive season and wedding season is right upon us. That occasion to be part of your titles is also extremely important so that the niche audience that is searching for these queries will find the right product, which is your product. That's the whole agenda behind this. On to the next slide, if we see, I've also put up some of the very relevant niche queries that we're seeing nowadays. Organza saris for women, hyaluronic acid night serum. So the queries for people are getting more and more specific, and with that, the kind of details that we provide to them when it comes to Google search ads, we also need to be very, very specific. So if a product has a certain material or a certain ingredient, we need to call it out so that Google is also able to show the right product to the right person eventually. Let's keep going. All right, this is a stat from last year. Last year, approximately 20 million online retail transactions happened during the festive season, which is Diwali. This was about a 50% surge when it comes to online sales. And we know that this year is no less as compared to last year. We're seeing a huge impact pre-Diwali in terms of people searching for Diwali related queries, looking for things from Diwali outfits to Diwali decor to, let's say, even the kind of food that you cook around Diwali. So queries around Diwali are going up quite a bit. So it's absolutely necessary that whatever we're selling online, whatever our e-commerce brand is serving, we need to make sure that we're also catering to the Diwali use case, because this is the time that people save up all of their money around the year for, to make sure that they can splurge around Diwali. So if you're an apparel brand, make sure that you do some sort of a Diwali collection. Even if you're curating some bestsellers from previous collections and calling it a Diwali collection, make sure that you give that collection as an option to your customers. If you're a skincare brand, we can talk about, glow up around Diwali or the festive season, something of that sort. A lot of skincare brands also do gifting hampers around Diwali. It's a huge use case for home decor and, all home and kitchen related industries. So no matter who you are, if you're doing advertising in the Indian subcontinent right now or for Indian audiences, you will have a way to create use cases around Diwali and advertise and maximize on that gifting and Diwali related use case. Of course, post Diwali, we also have the wedding season, which is going to go on for the next 3 to 4 months. There is also Black Friday and then New Year. So right now, until at least Jan, Feb, it's peak festive season, and we need to make sure that we're, delivering to that cause and making sure that we're reaching out to the right kind of audiences.
Right. Thank you so much, Manasvi, for those insightful tips on how feed optimization can enhance visibility during the festive season. I'm sure our attendees are excited to apply these strategies to boost their campaign performance. Now, let's jump into our next poll. So, how do you highlight new arrivals and festive collections in your ad? Let's hear it from our audience. Request everyone to please submit their answers. Everyone, please request you to submit your answers. Everyone who hasn't yet responded, request you to please submit your answers. Thank you for participating. We'll dive deeper on how to effectively highlight your new arrivals and festive collection in your ads in the next part of our session. Now, it's time for Pranav Mohan to walk us through the amazing features of Big Atom and how brands are using these to scale profitably. Over to you, Pranav.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you for the welcome, and I welcome you all to this segment of the conversation where we discuss how effectively you can create those product segments and highlight your collection. So let's say your catalog in a very specific way that helps your brand to scale during the festive season. Now, what we'll do is we'll pick up the section where we'll talk about data and case studies. So we have very three interesting case studies for all of you, where we talk about how Big Atom as a brand has helped create those success matrices and scale new heights in terms of your marketing requirements. So very clearly, what we'll do is we'll understand the first case study where global ethnic brand was able to achieve 70% higher add to carts and eventually a more incremental conversion rate based upon their bestsellers or their top performers. So as you can see, we've seen a 70% higher ATC, which has eventually led to a 20% ROAS improvement than your average ROAS that you're generating at let's say at product level. So how do we, ensure that our bestsellers, or how do we identify in the first place that these are our bestsellers, and then how do you start running ads on top of these bestsellers so that you see those incremental results? So, leveraging product insights to understand that how exactly is your catalog moving and identifying your hero or your top potential products is the first step or the first key to actually running those product segments. So you identify what works out for you, which products work out for you, and then based upon those products, you can start running those ads using the product segments from the dashboard. So, even before we actually jump into the analysis and the implementation, let's do a basic exercise and then let's just have a prelook. Now, what I have right now is basically a quadrant which automatically categorizes my catalog into 4 segments. So you have my top performers, high potential, low discovery, and non-performers. Now, just before we do any automation, you can open up an Excel sheet, and what you can do is you can pick up your spend. So let's say what I have done is I've divided my entire catalog on the basis of my catalog spends and my ROAS. So in this case, it's blended ROAS based upon my website revenue. So what you can do is you can open up an Excel sheet and create 4 quadrants. And based upon the performance of each product, you can divide your products into your top performers or products that have given you the best result, your high potential products that have actually have a good potential to scale, and then again your non-performers and your low discovery. So once you have this quadrant identified, you can then pick up your top performers and your high potential or products that actually bring a lot of website revenue or a lot of traction for your brand, or generate more than 50-60% of your overall website revenue for your brand. Now, once you've identified these top performers or these high potential, the next step is to start pushing more budgets into these top performers and these high potential product sets, because these are the revenue driving forces or factors for your brand. So very simply, what you can do is you can open up the view product list. So using the Big Atom dashboard, you can automate that entire process. Just click on view products. And once you click on view products, you land on the product analytics page. So let me just click on view products. So this will open up a list of all the products that are, let's say, part of my high potential or let's say my top performer or my top revenue generator product segments. And I have a list of all the products available. Now, these are my best sellers. Now, very quickly, what I can do is I can simply go to my product set creation process. So just click on the product set segment and create an advanced segment. From here itself, you can identify or you can define your top performing matrices. So just simply put something as let's say a catalog spends, let's say more than, let's say greater than 1,000. And let's say if my overall account average ROAS is, let's say somewhere close to 4x, I can still, look at a very higher greater range and I can say anything, let's say greater than 8x. So that's, let's say more than 100% or let's say 100% of my account average and just hit on apply. Now, once this is done, what it'll do is it'll pick up all the products that satisfy the condition or the criteria that you have defined for your top performers and your high potential. Let's say with a list of 66. Ideally, we do recommend running, let's say, a product segment of, let's say, 10% of your entire catalog size. Now, once that is in place, you can very simply push this product segment into your Meta and Google Ads. So just click on create a product set, enter your basic details. And once that is done, you're good to go and launch this product segment for all of your brands. Now, this basically helps you to automatically pick up your best performing product sets and run ads on top of these best performing product sets. So yeah, so that was again one case study where we observed a greater than better performance for all of our best sellers and my highest top potential products. The second is again, let's say, a variation of running my product segments is basically when you're about to enter the festive season, and as and when you enter the festive season, you start launching a host and a collection of new collections, or let's say festive specific collections. So with, let's say, Diwali around the corner and Karwa Chauth around the corner, and eventually your Christmas being in the long end, or let's say the long tail, you start promoting these festive collections or these seasonal collections, or let's say your occasion specific collections on your brand. But the idea right now is to ensure that once you've launched these collections, how do you ensure that these collections give you the maximum result or the maximum benefit when you're launching these new collections for your Meta and Google marketing requirements? So again, we've come up with a case study where using just the festive collection, a women ethnic apparel brand was able to scale their ROAS by 13% on their new collection as compared to their, let's say, a regular collection, with roughly 8% of ad spends being, is being saved on pushing your non-performers in that specific collection. So let's say if for a brand, if Diwali is a new collection that has been specifically launched, so I would want to pick up my Diwali new collection product segments and start promoting these product segments into my ads, and eventually keep optimizing and keep understanding the performance of my Diwali collection. And similarly, as as Karwa Chauth is about to enter, Diwali is about to enter, you can start launching these new collections and these new arrivals. So see, it makes more sense if you have both your new collections and your new arrivals in place, where you can start launching these product cohorts or let's say these product segments into your ads. So again, very simply, as we say, you directly have to deep dive into your product segment creation, where you pick up your new collection or new arrival. So let's say if I revert back to the same page, what I need to do is I can, let's say, go to my attribute section and click on a dimension, and there I can say, let's say my let's say category contains, let's say, Diwali. So let's say very essentially, if I have, let's say, launched a Diwali-based ad, let's say if I've launched a Diwali-based collection, let's say Karwa Chauth-based collection, I can create a Diwali-based collection ad based upon my category. And in order to, let's say, pick up that, certain products keep, or let's say if I want to only promote my profitable products from my Diwali collection, I can further narrow it down to, let's say, something as where my website revenue is, let's say, in the top, let's say 30%. So what it will exactly do is within my entire Diwali collection, it will pick up the products that are, let's say, within the top 30% revenue generators and create a product segment of these products. And then you can push these products to Meta and Google. Now, one key strategy right now here is once you launched a new collection or let's say a new arrival to Meta or let's say Google or any marketing channel, analyzing the results of your ad post launch becomes the key or the criticality. So let's say if you hover down to let's say product analytics, you can very simply go to product analytics under the category selection, and then eventually you can categorize your products, let's say at a category level. So eventually, let's say if I want to see that after launching and let's say after launching my product segment, how is the performance of my product segment? So let's say those product sets that I've launched of my, let's say my Diwali or let's say my new arrival. Then post analysis, that's when you want to start optimizing your product segments more. So once you've understood the performance, you can actually go to that specific set, see which products have been profitable, let's say revenue generating for you, see which products are not performing for you. So again, you can revert back to the quadrant. You can, let's say, do an additional filter on top of, let's say, a category. So you can pick up your specific category, you can define a category, and then you can generate the quadrant again, and then see which products have been your best revenue generators or best performing products, and start pushing more products towards these best performers. And at the same time, curtail your ad spend going into the non-performers for that specific collection. But the idea is to ensure that you're dynamic, that you keep your catalog dynamic, you keep promoting your new collections, your new arrivals, your seasonal collections, or let's say your best sellers or top potential. Because see, the more dynamic you keep your product segments, the more filter based you keep your product segments, the better chances of your catalog has to keep churning those products for Meta and Google for the audience viewing, and the better performance strategy would you have. So see, one specific place where we do not want to get stuck is, let's say, to run an entire catalog or run an entire category where, we hit a stagnation and we're not sure how should we then start pushing these products more, or let's say start upping the products, let's say ad spends on these products. And this is where you can use the product segment creation to, keep applying those filters, keep tweaking those filters based upon analysis and let's say what is the product or category level performance, and then keep changing the narrative. So because you want to keep the entire quadrant moving. So once you identify that within a specific collection, if your products are performing better, you want to change the matrices on a let's say on a week on week basis, and then keep pushing those product segments more and more towards on Meta and Google, so that you also see those incremental ROAS effects, or let's say those funnel building effects. So a better CT, or let's say a better view content will automatically trickle down to a better add to cart, will automatically, up your ROAS conversion or let's say final ROAS conversion. So that's the entire understanding of the strategy of pushing your dynamic product segments on Meta and Google using the product segment creation tool. So that's the strategy that we would recommend when you're, let's say, launching or creating those product segments is, let's say, on your best sellers or your new collection and new arrival. The third thing that we wanted to talk about was if we understand the entire concept of optimization, the first part is understanding what actually works out for your brand and start promoting more ad spends or let's say more relevant budgets onto those working out products and pushing them more on Meta and Google. But at the same time, it is also one of the key levers of optimization where you can also understand where should you be curtailing your budget or on products that are not performing for you. But at the same time, you should not be running these products, let's say, in any of your marketing campaigns, because ultimately that's wasting your ad spends on products that are not giving you any return. So something of like leaking your ad spends on products that are not generating any revenue, let's say any specific ROAS for your brand. So apparently we also have a third case study where a luxury apparel brand was able to spend, let's say, save 19% or less, roughly 20% of their monthly ad spends using the stop loss automation feature, or ad spends actually going into products that were not generating, let's say, required performances or that ROAS number for that specific brand. So you can definitely set up your stop loss automations and pick up or set up your guardrails. Any product that, for let's say, crosses that guardrail can be excluded from your entire catalog or let's say your marketing product segments. So let's say in order to understand the concept of understanding which is what is working out for you versus what is not, let's revert back to the quadrant again, where let's say even if you have created that in an Excel, The last quadrant that we identify is a set of non-performing products where, let's say, roughly we have spent 50% or let's say 40% of our entire budget. But at the same time, we're not seeing very incremental results or incremental ROAS upliftment from these products. So very simply, if I, let's say, factor in the operational cost, this is barely breaking even my ad spends that I'm doing, let's say, on these segments of products. So that's one key lever where you need to identify products that are not working out for your brand. And at the same time, start eliminating these products. So, of course, we do not recommend that you completely empty the entire list of, let's say, 132 products or let's say whatever non-performing products that you have based upon your performance criteria. But the idea is to identify your lowest of the lowest performers, or let's say the bottom rung products, which will eventually any ad spends attributed to them will not give you any additional effect. So the idea is to identify, let's say, your bottom 10% or 20% products, or let's say 30% products that have been given relevant ad spends where the performance time has been given, but they've somehow not proven their performance. And hence, other strategies can be adopted to offload that specific inventory, but let's say not as part of your active product sets which you're promoting on Meta and Google during the festive season. So how do we, let's say, specifically identify? Again, you can click on the view products, or in case if you have a list, you can download and you can see the entire list. Now, what I'll do is I'll do a very basic exercise where, these products, some of these products have actually given me certain amount of, let's say, revenue in terms of achieving a ROAS of, let's say, 2x. But what I'll do is out of the list of, let's say, entire 132 products, what we can do is we can very simply go to my matrices and simply say that let alone the blended ROAS, any product where let's say you have spent, let's say, greater than 1,000 rupees in the last 7 days, but your website revenue is, let's say, still less than one, which essentially means you have zero revenue generating products or products that have taken relevant ad spends, but your revenue is still zero. And these have not given you any specific performance. So you have a list of 53 products where your overall website revenue is zero. So essentially, you have spent close to 1,24,000 on a set of products of 53 products without generating any additional revenue for your brand. And these are the products which you should be specifically monitoring and excluding from your catalog. Now, there are two ways essentially of doing it. The first is actually downloading a list of products every day and relevant matrices from multiple data sources such as Meta, Google, GA for any analytics platform, and your website backend. Matching all of that data, let's say on a product SKU level, and then identifying a list of products and manually excluding all of these products in all of your catalog ads or let's say product segments that you're running on Meta and Google. Now that again is a huge task to do it on a day-on-day basis. And in the process of doing it manually, you would also be pushing your ads into a learning phase, which will affect your entire performance of the brands, and even your bestsellers may take a hit based upon the learning phase section. The other process that we would recommend is using an automated way where you can automatically identify these products on a day-on-day level and set the frequency at which you want to identify these products and exclude them in such a way that your ads are also not pushed into a learning phase without, or more specifically, without any changes to your product sets. You automatically identify a list of products and remove them from your product segments. So Big Atom definitely comes into picture where we have the first-in-class automation that actually allows you to, set up an automation tool. So you can click on the product stop loss automation. Just click on add a tool. Now within this, what I can do is I can pick up the same conditions where let's say my product has catalog spends of let's say greater than let's say 1,000. But at the same time, I also want to pick up products where my website revenue is let's say less than 1x. Now, this is just one example that I've given you. You can also have multiple conditions. So let's say if you want to pick up your, let's say top funnel or mid funnel products, you can define it on the basis of your views, conversions, view content, add to cart. So we have deep integrations with all of the platforms such as GA, Meta, Google, and let's say website backend. And hence you can pull up any level of metrics. So any funnel level metric that you want to put from GA and you want to combine that guardrail, let's say with your website revenue, let's say your Meta spends, you can do all of that combination using the product analytics section. But for the scarcity of time, what we'll do is we'll identify our zero revenue generating products. Just click on apply. Now, once you've set this condition, you can identify your zero revenue generating products. And with this list intact, you can then set up the product stop loss logic. I'm sorry. Let me just say website revenue is less than one in the last 30 days. Got it. Done. So now with this intact, what you've done is you've identified products which have spent, let's say, more than $1,000 in the last, let's say, 30 days, but at the same time have not given you any significant ad spend. So let's say, any significant ad revenue. So with this list intact, what you can do is you can then define the rule. So you can say, let's say a zero revenue generating product, and then set up your product stop loss. So you can identify, specifically exclude these products from Meta and Google, because we do understand there could be certain products that you would, specifically want to run on Google or let's say Meta, and then you do not want to exclude them from your catalog. So eventually you can define these conditions, and then you can choose to exclude it from Meta or Google. While at the same time, you can also define the frequency at which you want to run the stop loss. So essentially, let's say if you want to do it on a day-on-day basis, you can do it on an everyday basis. If you want to, let's say, do it on a weekly basis, you can pick 1 week of the day and then you can run the entire stop loss logic. We have a bi-weekly, or in case if you want to set up a custom condition, let's say every third day, or let's say every second day, if you want to run that, you can also define those custom conditions as well. Now, the idea here is to analyze your products from the quadrant. And then once you've identified that, my non-performers is a large chunk where I'm, let's say, allocating a significant amount of ad spends or my ad budget during the festive season, it makes the right strategy to identify these non-performers, exclude them from your catalog. And once you save this rule, it will automatically push this rule to your Meta and Google product feeds. And automatically these products will be excluded from your product sets without pushing your ads into a learning phase. So that's the best part, where you have the functionality of automating your entire understanding of non-performers and excluding them from your catalog without having to do that on a, let's say, on a day-on-day basis. So, with that being said, I would, let's like to summarize what you've completely discovered, or let's say understood in this last 30 minutes, last 15 minutes is, once you have the Excel ready, or let's say once you have the automated section ready, the idea is to identify your top potential and high performers and start promoting more budgets onto these high performing or high revenue generating product segments, while at the same time start launching your new collection, or let's say a festive collection, identify your top performers and let's say your best sellers within those new collections, and start promoting more budgets on these best performers, because festive is the right time where you can significantly scale up on your products, or let's say for your brands, because you have the right set of audiences that actually want to buy products, and you have the right relevant set of intended audiences to let's say engage with your brand. While at the same time, it becomes more crucial for you to also identify non-performers and identifying them, these non-performers, but at the same time removing them from your catalog. So that's the entire, let's say, circular strategy that you should be approaching while entering the festive season. Because at the end of the day, it becomes more important for you to understand how your entire catalog is moving, where your products are moving. And the idea is to ensure that you have the lowest ad spend share in your non-performers and a significant ad spend share actually going into your high potential and your, let's say, top performers. So I think that's where I would like to, leave it. Over to you, Halim.
Thank you so much, Pranav, for the comprehensive tour of BigAtom's features. It's completely clear how brands can leverage these tools to scale effortlessly. So, we are now opening the floor to questions from the audience. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box and we'll take them up for you. So, I have received one question in the chat, and this one's for you, Pranav. How do you identify the right product sets to promote during the festive season?
Got it. Okay, let's revert back to the same segment. Now, what we can do is, let's say once you've launched let's say a collection in your ad account, so you can definitely go to your category section, and within the category, you'll start seeing the category. So let's say if you launch the Diwali collection, you can see the Diwali collection. Let me just this filter. Um, so let's say if I have launched a Diwali collection, I can very simply type the Diwali collection name. Now, once I have the data for the Diwali collection, what I can do is I can then start identifying that out of my entire Diwali collection, which products have started performing for me. So very simply, just go to my filter section, go to attributes, click on the, let's say, category. Now, within my category, I can say anything which, let's say, category contains, let's say, Diwali. And now this will ensure that out of my entire catalog, I have segregated the products that belong to the Diwali collection. While at the same time, I can also add a metric where within this Diwali collection, any products that have, let's say, blended ROAS of, let's say greater than, let's say 2x. So also ensuring that within my Diwali collection, I also have a list of products that have generated a good amount of revenue for me, let's say for my brand within that specific sale period or within that specific Diwali period. So you can, as you can see, just identifying a list of, let's say, out of the entire catalog or let's say the entire category, I have a list of 900 numbers. Now, this is again one very basic example of how you can identify. You can definitely set up multiple conditions, let's say based upon your ad spends, your website revenue, your ROAS, how much is the Google intent, what is the GA4 funnel level journey, are the products, let's say, being having more views versus let's say less conversions, or let's say less conversions with let's say higher transaction rate. So you can have multiple conditions, but the idea is to play around with data for that specific collection and then start launching those ads based upon that collection. So definitely use the product insights or the product analytics section to identify those products.
Got it. Next question that I have is for Manasvi. So Manasvi, what factors should we consider when deciding whether to increase ad spend on top performing products?
I think number one, I would look at inventory. Do you have enough inventory that if the product like really starts to get in a lot of orders, you'll be able to fulfill? That would be my first consideration. Other than that, what kind of, returns it's giving, like Pranab showed in the previous screen, that what is the blended ROAS for that product? That would also be a major consideration. And I think, yes, these two should be the main two pointers when we think about what kind of products to spend on.
Got it. Manasvi, the next question for you is, what are the key metrics you monitor when running festive ad campaigns?
I think when running festive ad campaigns, which are like extremely critical, one of the important things that we do monitor is engaged sessions. Whatever campaigns we're doing, how many new users is that campaign bringing? Of course, we also try to monitor the return on ad spend that's coming from that campaign. But I think during this time, more than any other time, we keep an eye on what kind of traffic we're bringing in, because already conversion rates during this time are higher because people's intent to purchase is much higher, given that they have saved up all year to spend around the festive period. So we should make sure that we are showing ads to a lot more people than we would generally.
Manasvi, my last question for you that I've received from the audience is, for brands that are new to feed optimization, what are the most critical elements to prioritize when preparing for a high traffic period like Diwali?
I think, like I mentioned when I was discussing earlier, that especially during times like these, occasion becomes very important. So within wedding, we've seen people also search by each wedding function. So if it's a mehendi, haldi, etc., groom's wear or bride versus bridesmaid, people really start to segregate and be more and more specific when it comes to what they want. So I would make sure that the occasion is definitely included. Other factors that we know people are searching for, the material, the colors of the products, all of that is part of our title, so that at least the ones who are actually taking the effort to search for such a niche query, we're able to reach out to these high intent people and convert them.
Got it. Next question is for you, Pranav. How can we create rules in product sets to highlight bestsellers, and what criteria should be used for effective filtering?
So, as said again, when you're talking about your bestsellers essentially mean products that generate the maximum revenue for you, or let's say for your brand. So let's say when you're going to product set creation, so let's say if we go to, let's say, set creation. Or let's say if I just talk about the basic filter. So let's say, in order to identify that which products or let's say which brands or let's say which category is bringing the best revenue, you can identify your bestsellers based upon your ultimate website revenue, let's say your Google revenue or let's say your Google ROAS. So ROAS could be one criteria. So, anything that has spent in terms of your catalog spends to your website revenue or let's say your website ROAS or your Google ROAS, that could be one, let's say, set of criteria. You can also have your bestsellers in terms of your funnel as well. So you can define what should be the, let's say, a mid-funnel product segment. So you can say any product that has spent a significant amount of budget, but at the same time, cuts off a specific number of views or number of product page views as per GA. So your bestseller is again a segment that you can create at any specific funnel. So whether it's a top funnel, mid funnel, or bottom funnel, you can define your best segments based upon, let's say, ROAS or views or add to cart, conversions, transaction rates. But let's say anything that is a desirable metric for you. So let's say with an average, let's say brand level, let's say ROAS of 4x, I can define a bestseller as something that is, let's say, garnering or let's say a ROAS of, let's say, more than 8x or 9x. So that's the metric that let's say the column that I'm actually looking at, where I have significantly spent on that specific product, while at the same time I'm also seeing incremental results. So let's say more than 50 or 60% results for my brand. That something is something I can, pick up and define as a bestseller for me. Identifying a bestseller again is a more hit and a try method where you have to use multiple combination of matrices and understand what, or let's say which combination actually works out for your brand. So let's say for a very large size brand, spent of $1,000 on a product in last 7 days is a very small metric, or let's say something that they achieve in, let's say in a day or so. But for very small brands, so let's say very niche brands, $1,000, let's say a month is also a good spend. So it's more about understanding that how your entire catalog is moving or how your brand products are moving, and then identifying those right set of matrices. So you'll have to, let's say, play around a lot with those filters, with those data, and then see which products fall into which quadrant. Uh, Again, just as an exercise, you can download. What you can do is you can just go to Meta and let's say Google, download the product level spends. Just pick up your website revenue from your website backend and just try to create a basic quadrant on Excel and see, what, or let's say where do you arrive at. So just a basic quadrant will actually give you an understanding that where or how you tweak your certain matrices to actually come up at a level, or let's say at a value where that these are your guardrails. Anything above this is something that you consider as a bestseller, and anything below this is not something that is acceptable to your brand. So yeah, I think there is no direct answer to it, but it's more about understanding and playing with those data and numbers to categorize your catalog.
Right. Correct. So, thank you so much, Pranav, for your answer. With that, we come to the end of our webinar. And here's the exciting part for the audience. This is your chance to get a free feed audit. So, just scan the QR code on your screens, fill out the form, and our team will reach out to you. Thank you to Manasvi and Pranav for their amazing insights. And a special thank you to everyone who joined us today. Stay tuned for our next webinar and we'll keep you posted.